Hello folks and welcome to F1 Live, your post-race show for this, the 70th anniversary Grand Prix at Silverstone. And it may be 1 week on from the British Grand Prix, it may be the same track, but a very different result. Max Verstappen making the most of an alternate strategy, starting the race on the hard tyre and keeping his head and catching Mercedes napping. He is your race winner. Lewis Hamilton is second, Valtteri Bottas is third. It was a fantastic race, one full of intrigue and just an absolute joy to see Max Verstappen, I think, with what was one of, if not his best win in Formula One, certainly quite close to being one of his best race victories in Formula One. Max Verstappen then is your race winner. Lewis Hamilton came home second, Valtteri Bottas in P3, and Mr. Alain Prost is here, four-time world champion, of course. Hello, Alain. I give you the microphone there. What a race we had today. What a fantastic Grand Prix that was.
Yeah, it was a little surprise for the win, but they did a good job. It was a race where tire management and strategy, really about the tires, what makes the difference. They did a good job. We saw that it's not easy to plan, you know, what you want to do on Friday and Saturday. On Sunday, it was always a little bit different, and did not work exactly the way we expected for us, especially with Daniel, but it's part of the game.
Well, we'll talk about how Renault got on today. We're going to talk first of all, though, about Racing Point. Lance, both cars back in the points. A P6 for you today. Talk us through your race.
Yeah, some great points for the team. There was a lot of different strategies out there. Leclerc managed to get to the end on a one-stop and get in front of us. The Red Bull had really good pace. Albon overtook me with a couple laps to go. So it's frustrating to lose some places to them, but yeah, we'll look into what we could have done different. And yeah.
How hard was it hanging on to those tyres? Because we could see them just falling apart on so many cars today.
Yeah, it was very tricky. Some stints, a couple of the stints were much better than others. So yeah, it was tricky today. I mean, it was very hit or miss with the strategies.
Well done. Thanks for coming on the show. Thanks. Appreciate it, Lance. See you soon. Alain, it was, as you say, a surprising victory, an unexpected victory for Max Verstappen and for Red Bull today. They played the strategy perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. When we saw him with the hard and qualifying, I mean, obviously they have to make a different strategy if they want to beat the Mercedes, because they are for sure, they have a better car, a quicker car. But I must say that yeah, it was a perfect one. But as I said before, it was very difficult to predict what was going. Between two sets we had a big difference, and one set was vibrating immediately, so we had to change. Some cars are the same. Okay, you could take the risk to stay on the track, but we've seen last week that it was not very recognizable. So we need to learn a little bit about this race. But it's a shame for Daniel, because should have been a bit better. But maybe we stopped him at the first one too soon. We should have stayed with him longer. Maybe do only one stop. Like Esteban. It worked quite well for Esteban today. Yeah.
It did. It worked really well for Charles Leclerc as well. Yeah. P4 for him in the Ferrari. A great drive once again from Charles.
Yeah, he really managed to get the best result possible with his car today. I mean, we should have focused on him and not on other cars, and maybe we could have done maybe the same strategy than himself with Daniel, but anyway.
Let's have a look at the classified results then at the end of the 70th anniversary Grand Prix. Max Verstappen, your race winner, from Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas, your top three. As Alain's just said, it was a great race from Charles Leclerc today, one stopping his way from P8 to P4. Alex Albon coming home in fifth. Lance Stroll, who we've just spoken to, saw the checkered flag in sixth place. Then Nico Hülkenberg, impressive, in seventh. Esteban Ocon, points on the board for Renault today, in eighth. Lando Norris ninth. Danny Kvyat 10th. Lewis Hamilton in the end setting the fastest lap of the race. Behind them, and out of the points, Pierre Gasly, who had a difficult race. He was looking very good, but a difficult race from him. A horrible race for Sebastian Vettel, P12. We'll talk about Seb in a moment. Carlos Sainz, P13. Daniel Ricciardo, unfortunate, in 14th. Raikkonen, 15th. Grosjean, 16th. Then Giovinazzi, Russell, Latifi, Magnussen, our only DNF of the day. Let us, if we can, There you go, Alex Albon just congratulating his teammate Max Verstappen. Alex, obviously a great day for the team today with Max coming home race winner, a battling hard race for you today. Did it feel good out there?
It felt good. The first 15 laps didn't feel very good. It's just when the cars are in the DRS straight, it's just no grip at all. And normally, you know, when they're one by one, you can go into the clean air, you can find the pockets, you can go inside, outside. But when it's a group of cars, just that kind of wind tunnel effect, it's just nothing. And after them first 15 laps, I thought, okay, here we go. But once we could get some clean air, I mean, we boxed early, but we came out in front of more traffic. So it was a messy first 20 laps. But once we got that clean air, we could show the pace. And the car was very good today.
And it allowed you to put on some great overtaking moves today as well. Do you enjoy yourself out there?
I mean, it's fun, yeah. As I say always, I don't want to keep doing that stuff, but it's good to show. And I think we just need to understand why, because Sundays are very strong for us, stronger than they are on Saturdays. And it's trying to understand and almost use this and figure out why are we so good today and compared to other days.
Well done. We'll see you next time. Thanks very much, Alex. He's a good guy, Alex. He's a damn fine racer. We know that. He's been struggling the last couple of weekends. Do you think this kind of a performance from him today, those battling moves, will lift his confidence back up a little bit?
Yeah, he's doing some very good races. As you said, good overtaking, very often outside, and he's struggling more in qualifying. But when you struggle in qualifying, obviously you're losing a little bit of confidence, and it looks like his car, I don't know, but looks not easy to set up and drive, and performing well. But when he's in race condition, he's really strong and doing very good laps. So I hope for him and that he goes better, but not too much.
Pierre, hello.
You're going to do it in French.
You want to do it in French?
Yeah, let's do it in French.
Bon, pas de problème. C'est une bonne journée. No, pas une bonne journée. It's not a good day today. It looked all the way through the weekend like it was going your way, and the race just didn't seem to pan out for you.
Yeah, honestly, it wasn't really fun. I mean, the first stint was good. The start was great. I was 7th, I think, just behind Daniel and in front of Lando. And we decided to pit very, very early, a lot earlier than we wanted. I still don't really know why, but I guess it was to cover Albon, who wasn't really our race, to be fair. So, yeah, after that, we were at the back in the traffic. I had to push to clean the traffic and at blistering, and from this point it was pretty much a nightmare in the second stint. So yeah, lost quite a lot of time there, and then the last stint was good, but not enough to recover.
After all that promise for the weekend, it must have been very frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, still, there were a lot of positives. Just the race, I think we could have done slightly better. I think we were 5-6 seconds from the P8, so we're not far, but I just feel there was a bit better to do today, and yeah, it's a shame for sure.
Thanks very much, Pierre.
Thanks.
We'll see you very soon. Constantly impressive, Pierre, I think, over these opening few races of this season. He always seems to be there and punching above the weight of the car.
Yeah, he was a threat for us today. I mean, I was looking at him 7th position, but as he said, they stopped too early. I mean, very often you have a strategy at the beginning, but you want to do your race considering the one behind you, if they stop first or not. And sometimes maybe you should realize that the best optimum, lap time and position. But clearly it was not a good strategy for him, and he should have been better. It was a little bit mixed also for us, as I said. So the people stopping too early was not a good strategy. Yeah.
So disappointing day for Pierre Gasly. A great day, though, for his teammate Danny Kvyat. Didn't make it out of Q1 after he had his lap time deleted for track limits, but a beautiful race from him saw him return in the points. He caught up with Lawrence Barretto in the pen just a few moments ago.
Danny, back in the points. How satisfying is that?
Honestly, after yesterday, very satisfying. It felt like a mega race again. Just, no, not like last week when there was a lot of drama in the end. This race was very calm, so unfortunately just a point. However, I can be satisfied with the race. As a team, we did a great job. We recovered 6 positions, and it was a great feeling to achieve that.
How did the car feel overall? Because I know before you crashed last weekend, you felt like you had really good pace. Was it similar today?
I think last week I had better chances to score more points, to be honest. Today, because I started a bit, I don't know, there was more drama in the end last week. And today was, like I said, the race with really no action in the end. So last week's race was a lot more opportunistic. There was more opportunities. Today it was the maximum result possible with this car, but so I just have to be happy with that I managed to squeeze everything out of the car today.
Right, thanks very much, Danny.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Great drive today from Danny Kvyat. Great drive from this guy as well. Nico Hülkenberg back in Formula One, back in the points. How did it feel getting out there and racing again?
Yeah, it was fun. It was good. My biggest thing before the race was, the start and getting through lap 1 safely and with everything on the car still. And that managed it okay. My start was, I think, not the greatest, but Max had, I think, a blind lightning start. First half of the race was very managed, very under control, but the second half of the race, unfortunately, it had some tyre issues and lost a bit of ground there.
Yeah, the decision to pit at the end for the softs, the only driver to do that. Was you just completely struggling on the tyres you were on? Or
It was not by choice, but I had huge blisters, I think, at the rear and massive vibrations, and I don't think I could have made it to the end without a tyre failure. So kind of forced to get off that tyre.
You enjoy it out there, though, being back in an F1 car, back amongst all these guys again?
Yeah, I did, and grateful that it was an easy race. No safety cars, no other variables. It was enough as it was this weekend, the last 2 weeks. So happy with that.
Brilliant stuff, man. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you,
on the
guys.
show. We really appreciate it. You know Nico very well,
Yeah.
of course, former
Sure.
Renault driver. How well do you think he's done jumping into a car that he didn't know, qualifying third, racing as he did today?
He has done a great job, I mean, for sure. Third in qualifying is already great, and even the rest, we were a little bit worried for him, because it's one of the toughest track for the neck and physically. So he did not add too much training, so he did quite well. The two drivers here.
Both of your guys have turned up. I think can we have you together? I don't know, social distancing. Possibly not.
Start with me, then it can end on something more
Okay,
positive.
we'll end on a positive, shall we?
Yeah.
A hard day, man. Horrible day.
Yeah, just one of those days which you kind of want to just forget and put away. But look, before we do that, I think I want to obviously try and learn from it. Seemed like it started okay. We were hanging in there with the medium, but then after the stop, we put another medium, and that tyre that set of mediums didn't work. So soon enough, we were back in the pits for a hard, and we lost a lot of track position with that. So we were in a fight, and then trying to defend Carlos, I lost the rear of the car, and that was our race really. So it progressively got away from us, and just one you want to just put your head down and just go home. But look, I think the best thing we can do now is actually understand what we can do better and figure it out.
All right, man. Go on. Thanks very much. Thanks for coming on. We'll let you go. Esteban.
I'm sorry, Will. I'm coming to see Alain.
That's fine.
That's the main thing.
That's
why I
absolutely
came
fine.
back.
Of course. I mean, I think congratulations for
Yeah,
you.
well
Obviously,
done.
yesterday had looked
Well done,
really
Esteban.
difficult.
Thank you.
Today was great.
Yeah, it was a great day. From the start to the pit stop to the information I was getting in the car to make that one stop work. It was very well managed. From our side and from the team. So very happy with the comeback. From yesterday was a difficult day, and we managed to turn into a very positive race. So, yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting season, because the car it seems really, really good when we make it work, So, yeah, definitely positive.
It's 2 weeks in a row now. It's just come to life in the race for you. It just looks so good out there, particularly in the latter stages of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I had Lando, on the fresher tires, on the two-stop strategy. And I was pulling away from him, which was definitely very, very positive. Even my tires, the car was vibrating everywhere, but still, the juice was there and the pace was there, so it was very, very nice.
Great job, man. Thanks for coming
Thank
on. Alain, he did a fantastic job today. As you said, a difficult strategy. He made it work.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we talk a lot today about that. I mean, obviously, was disappointed about the qualifying yesterday. I mean, qualifying, difficult for him to put everything all together. He always has a little problem on the car, thing like this. So, but in a race condition, he proved that he's really, really good. So he's going to be better and better. Today, he did a very good race. I mean, very difficult to say that if you're outside. But we could see inside. We ask him to manage the tires. We ask him to manage the fuel, and just to be. We knew that we could be 8 with him and not better than that. But he was really really good. So I hope that we'll find the pace in qualifying from next week, and then he will be much better.
Fantastic stuff. Now, it's not just Alain and I here at the track. Of course, Rosanna Tennant and Sam Collins are back at base. Guys, what a great Grand Prix. So much to talk about.
Hi, Will. Yeah, an absolutely fantastic race. What a 70th anniversary Grand Prix. Plenty of incidents. Now, Sam, we have to talk about Max Verstappen's race. An inspired choice to start the race on the hard tyre. When in the weekend did you start to realise this is what we were in for? Anything gave it away during the practice sessions?
No, not really, because it was a fairly standard practice session. Free practice 1, everyone ran the softs, they all fell apart. In free practice 2, it was kind of normal, normal service. There were no massively long runs on the white hard tyres, so Red Bull just seemed quite normal. And it wasn't until Q2 that Max went out on the white hard tyre that I thought, oh, something's up here. And that was such a brave decision because he only just got through Q2 and into Q1, and the team played. And his qualifying in Q3 wasn't great, and it was just such a brave decision from the team.
What is it about the Red Bull that suits the hard tyre, or what is it about the hard tyre that suits the Red Bull car?
I don't actually know the answer to that question because if I did, Mercedes would be paying me an awful lot of money after today.
Hey, but you're here on the desk with me.
Exactly. No, that is the key to Red Bull. Something in the suspension, the way it works the tyres on that car, it just came together for them, and they had this advantage in their pocket all the way from Q2, and they kept it on the down low. So going into the race, everyone thought, okay, they're doing something different, but it's probably not going to work. They gambled against there being a safety car when Silverstone has had a 100% record of safety cars over the last 10 years. It's just so brave and really impressive.
Is this something we're going to see going forward? So in Spain next weekend, is this something that we're now going to see, a characteristic of the Red Bull that's going to work well on a hard tyre if we see again the C2, C3, C4 compounds?
Oh, I do hope so. Because I was sitting in the gallery downstairs where everybody, and that's where they make the TV production, and I've got a screen down there that lets me see the predicted race strategies coming through, and I could see the blob that is Lewis Hamilton dropping back and back and back, and I thought, oh, Hamilton's dropped back to third if Verstappen stops and does this strategy and makes it work. And then Bottas came into range and dropped back, and I was like, this is amazing. They've kept the tyre alive, and they did try for a one-stop strategy, which I thought, oh, that's really brave, because the end of the race was looking really critical. You heard on the radio that they saw Bottas was going to come in and try and cover it, so they both came in together. Verstappen changed the strategy on the fly. That was a decision made either in Milton Keynes at the factory or on the pit wall, or a combination of both. And wow, I mean, that was proper. These guys, the Red Bull team strategists, earned their money today, big time.
A sensational drive from Max Verstappen. Also a sensational drive from Charles Leclerc. Can't forget him in the Ferrari. We'll be back with some more incidents, perhaps the Mercedes and why they were eating up their tyres. We'll be back with you very shortly.
You mentioned Charles Leclerc, and Alain and I wanted to talk about Charles. A great drive from him today, one-stop strategy. He's just taking the lead at Ferrari now.
Yeah, he was already a little bit last year. They were all impressed by his skill, and so at the moment he's assuming his role. Obviously, he's getting the best, more or less, of his car at the moment. And Sebastian, I mean, you are going to ask me for sure the question about Sebastian.
Yes, I will in a moment. Yeah, absolutely.
Because you cannot talk about Charles without talking about Sebastian, because you could see that in a team it can change very quickly, depending of the the pressure, the outside pressure, inside and outside pressure you can have. It's a little bit sad because I really love Sebastian as a person. Is really. Maybe fragile in a way, because he's very human, and he must feel very bad sometimes, I suppose. But anyway, enjoy racing, enjoy, he has a passion for Formula One, for racing. But it's a shame to see him like this, struggling. He's not very comfortable with the car. But a racing driver, especially Formula One, with all the pressure you have, if you are not 100% in your head and psychologically, very difficult to find the last stance, and you're not comfortable at all.
As you said, he doesn't seem comfortable in the car. He doesn't seem comfortable with the team. We saw him calling the team out on the radio. He said,
"Yeah, but
you've messed up." That's a very public demonstration of his unhappiness.
Exactly. Can you imagine the pressure he has from already from last year, but during the winter, what happened with the non-contract and even the press or some people are talking out from outside, about him. It's not very nice. Huh? I was never in this situation, but almost at one stage. And when you start to have the pressure also from outside, from the media, from everybody, the public, it's very difficult to manage that.
He told us yesterday after qualifying, well, actually on Thursday, he said he wasn't sure if what he felt in his stomach and what he felt in his head is what he was seeing on the data. And then yesterday he told us, look, I've got no answers. Everything I try on the car, nothing is working. How do you get yourself out of that?
Yes, because when you are competitive, especially when you have a competitive car and team, you almost need, to follow a line. You follow your line with your engineer, with your, the team. Obviously, you have the management behind you. Everybody goes in the same direction. It goes always a little bit like this because it's not easy, but it never goes, right and left. And at the moment, it's really not nice what we are seeing, because it's it's not nice to see all these kind of messages because it deserves much better than what we can see today.
Let's hear from Sebastian Vettel now. He's been talking to the press after the race in the pen. Actually, I'll tell you what, let's hear from Charles Leclerc first. We'll hear from Charles and then we'll hear from Sebastian afterwards.
Hey Charles, Lando was pretty impressed you managed to do a one-stop. Are you pretty impressed as well?
Yeah. I'm impressed by the pace, to be honest, today. I just don't understand where did we find that pace, and it's a good surprise. This morning I would have signed straight away if you have told me that I will finish 8th, so just in the position we started. But 4th, and I'm very happy. I insisted quite a lot this morning with the team to try and make work this one-stop strategy. I think the team was a bit scared, which is obviously understandable considering what happened last week, but I was pretty confident I could make that work, and I pushed again on the radio during the race, plan C, to try and do this one-stop strategy that we managed to make it work and finish 4th, so extremely happy about today.
Is that something that you're quite keen to do going forward, is to really kind of tell the team what you really are quite keen to do and to take risks, especially as the car obviously isn't performing at its best at the moment?
Well, not really, but sometimes, the driver has some feelings in the car that in data you don't really see, and I just had that feeling that I could make this work, and I made my point, and it worked out. So extremely happy, but especially happy because all last year I was, I knew that my weakest point was the tyre management in the race, and I worked very hard for that, and to see the results on track this year with the tyre management and my race pace in general, I'm very, very satisfied with this.
Congratulations. Thank you.
So from one very happy Ferrari driver in Charles Leclerc to a driver who, as Alain and I have just been discussing, is not really feeling at home in the car or at the team. Sebastian Vettel caught up with us after the race as well.
Hey Seb, thanks for waiting. It just looked like another tough day in the office for you out there today.
Yeah, I guess that's the way to put it.
What happened at the start when you I think you got...
Yeah, I had a good start, and then I'm not quite sure what I wanted to stay out of trouble in turn 1, making sure that I get a good run into the next section of corners. And then I'm not sure, it felt at the time as if I got a hit, but I guess the hit might have come from the curb, and being in the pack, I guess then I lost the car, which was a surprise and caught me out, and then obviously we lost a lot of places. From there, though, I think we could have still done a better recovery.
Did you manage to find any answers from yesterday into today? No. Okay, and then I guess generally speaking then in the car, can you have any idea why you're struggling and Charles doesn't seem to be having any problems?
Well, I think the races are a bit tricky to compare because we were racing always in the train the last 2 weeks. I guess for Charles was a bit more clean air. That's why I was a bit annoyed because we could have avoided that today, and I don't know why we didn't. So, but yeah, other than that, I'm afraid I don't have any answers. It's a bit odd. The gap is exactly the same for 2 weeks. With running, without running, it doesn't matter. So, I got to move forward and think for Barcelona. So,
did the team reply to you when you said that they'd messed up the strategy?
No.
So they didn't explain why. All right, thanks.
Oof, that's a sign of an unhappy man. And once again, those words, there's no answers. I can't find the answers. It's how does he pick himself up?
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll find, sometimes it's enough to have a good car, let's say next week, good car at next place, and then you feel more comfortable, and then everything goes back, as normal. Otherwise, it's going to be a long season, because then it starts to think too much, and he's a disappointed man. That's for sure.
Very much so. It will be a long season. It will not be a perfect season for Mercedes. With Red Bull winning today's race, of course, they cannot now win every Grand Prix this year. Rosanna and Sam, I know you want to look at what happened today with Mercedes, a team for which it was looking all so good in 2020.
Well, we've been reviewing the race, but I've also just been having a little look on Instagram, and Mercedes putting out messaging here saying it wasn't our day in the office. A double podium doesn't sound that bad in Formula One, but for the Mercedes team it is. Sam, talk me through why they were struggling on the tyres so much. Was it the temperatures at the track? Was it the way they've set up their car?
I think there's something to do with the car. I think there's something wasn't quite right. And we heard Lewis Hamilton on the radio saying, guys, something's up with the car here. The wrong tyres are wearing. And if you looked, we expect the left front tyre to wear, as we saw so spectacularly last week. And we were talking about in the pre-race show, and we talked about in the pre-race show last week, the right front tyre was wearing on both Hamilton and Bottas's car. You saw those really distinct blisters and signs of tyre wear. And then the left rear, it was the wrong way round. The wrong tyres were wearing for driving around Silverstone. It was almost like they drove the circuit in reverse. So it's a bit baffling as to what was going on. Bottas had the same issues as well. And then they were trying to do these really long stints on the hard tyre. And the tyres were just falling apart and costing them huge amounts of time. And Hamilton's fantastic recovery drive at the end of the race was all that kept him on the podium. I mean, at one point, the simulations were saying he was going to finish the race in 5th.
We know that Mercedes go away, as all teams do, but Mercedes particularly strong in going away and fixing problems within a tight deadline. What can they do between now and next weekend? Of course, these races come thick and fast at the moment. What can they do to remedy this situation?
Well, the first thing they have to do is understand what had gone on with the car, and I don't think they will yet understand that, though there'll be engineers in Brackley staring at banks of data, really in deep discussions with Pirelli. Their Pirelli engineer that's assigned to them will try to find out what was really going on. Why was you seeing that wrong diagonal, so the right front and left rear diagonal, which is not the diagonal you expect to see wearing at Silverstone, and try to find out why that was. And I suspect it's something in the car setup, because we didn't see it last week, and it's still the same car, and there weren't a huge amount of updates on the car. Though notably, they were running a little bit lower level of lateral G, and I think that was to try and protect their tyres after the events of last week and try and go a bit longer on these softer tyres. So they were running the car with a slightly different suspension setup, and I think a different aero setup. And it just seemed to work the tyres in a way that the tyres really, really didn't like. I mean, nobody had as bad problems as that Mercedes, and it was on both cars. So going into Barcelona, they don't have a lot of time. I mean, they're on track in 4 days' time. They have to go out for free practice and work out what to do for Barcelona, where I also expect them to bring an awful lot more updates onto the car, and that could change the balance again. And so Mercedes are a little bit, I think, going to have to be a little bit concerned about these softer compound tyres. They've clearly got an advantage on the harder ones, but it's going to be a worry for them.
Well, I'm sure we'll hear from the team throughout the week, and it's always exciting to see them battle. As we heard, they were free to race, and I'm hoping that will be the same throughout the season, even as the championship battles on between the two of them. Will, back to you in the paddock.
Oh, we're 2-3 in a Grand Prix. It's a hard time to beat Mercedes. It was a huge disappointment. Right, let's hear from their drivers. Valtteri Bottas, P3 today. He was in the pen earlier. Let's hear from him about his race.
Hiya, Valtteri. I guess it's just a tough day, really, because you started on pole, would have hoped to have had better than third. Just talk me through.
Yeah, for sure. Hope for a lot better. I think biggest difference to Red Bull and Max today was the blistering we had in the tyres, and their tyres at the end of the race seemed clean and seemed like they could really push. And we had to manage a lot and still had got the blistering, so obviously quite a big difference there. But even when Max stopped, I think if I knew to push harder earlier, we could have kept the track position. And then for me, the second stint was too short, last stint too long. So I couldn't manage with the tires at the end. So I think on that Lewis had the upper hand with the strategy.
So on the note of strategy, you obviously were the lead car at that point. Was there discussion as to who would do what and why you ended up with the shorter stint?
There wasn't that much discussion, you know. I just got the call to box, and then I actually saw that Max was gonna box as well in front of me, but then it was a bit too late to, you know, ask any questions or anything. So there's lots to review, but I think the team knows and I know that it was not optimal for me today, which is disappointing because obviously I was on pole.
Generally, how surprised are you at the performance of Mercedes versus Red Bull today?
Sorry?
How surprised are you at the performance of Mercedes versus Red Bull today?
Well, we knew there's always can be a threat from other teams, but I think we struggled a bit more with the blistering than we expected, and hence the pace difference.
Right, thank you very much, Valtteri.
So another podium for Valtteri Bottas. It's another podium for Lewis Hamilton as well. 155. He ties Michael Schumacher for the all-time most podiums in Formula One history. It wasn't the win that he wanted, but I'm sure that record won't be too bad for him. Let's hear from Lewis Hamilton now.
Hey Lewis, that was one hell of a finish from you. You're really pushing at last. It seemed like you had some tyres that seemed to be doing what you wanted them to do.
Yeah, it was such a hard race. But I really enjoyed it, to be honest. But it was so difficult to manage the tyres. Way more than we had experienced in any of these races coming up. So definitely wasn't expected. But I did the best I could with it. Struggled in the first two particularly, and then managed to extend that second stint, which is really what gave me the advantage in the last stint. So it's still not good enough, obviously, to compete with those. Obviously, hard, medium, hard was the way forward.
How satisfying is it that you managed to pull it back out of? At some point, it looked like you were really struggling to get a result. You know, second must be pretty encouraging.
Yeah, it was definitely. I mean, it's encouraging to get the points, as I said. You know, and I didn't know if that tyre was going to last in the second stint. I wish that we could have had a closer race, but next time.
Was there a moment where you thought, "Oh no, not again, not the same as last weekend"?
No.
All right, and just finally, I thought it was really nice that we did the end racism stance at the beginning. We're keeping this message going. How important is it to keep that in the mindset of people?
I think it's one of the most important things for us messages that we have to continue to push for the rest of the year. I think continuing to utilize the platform to show our intentions, and then in the background working on actually implementing change, so that next year we don't have to keep on taking the knee and making a statement, but actual things have been implemented into the system here.
Thanks very much, Lewis.
Lewis Hamilton then driving not just for a 7th World Championship, but for meaningful change in our sport. Let's finish off then with Max Verstappen, today's race winner. He is normally a man of few words, but will those few words be positive ones? I imagine they will. Here's Max Verstappen.
Hey Max, early on you said you don't want to drive like a grandma, and you didn't after that. Looked like a lot of fun out there.
Yeah, it was good. I think what was very important for us was that first stint. I think we could go very long, and we just had really good pace. I didn't really have trouble with the tires, and then of course we pitted. I was very close to Valtteri. Of course I overtook him, and then I could make a little bit of a gap. And then of course we pitted on the same lap again, you know, for the hard tires, and again on that tire I didn't have any trouble. So yeah, today was just very competitive. I think our car seems to work quite well on softer compounds, especially in the race, like looking after tires. But yeah, there won't be that many races that you will be running such soft tires. So I wouldn't say, let's say we are back in the fight. I think we have to still be realistic, but we can enjoy today because today was a great day.
How satisfying was it just to be back fighting them on pure performance?
Thanks, mate. Well, you're hoping this is going to happen. I mean, last race it was really boring for me. Of course, then at the end there was a bit of action, but not on pure pace. And then, of course, when you are able to challenge them and actually pull away, it's very satisfying. And I hope, of course, it's going to happen a bit more throughout the season. Dankjewel.
Toen lekkere start, hè?
Ja, goede grip. Ja. So yeah, I just hope it's going to be exciting. I mean, that's I think what everybody wants.
How much encouragement will you take going forward, even if the tyres aren't going to be softer? Well, not that many.
I don't know. We just keep pushing. You know, that's what we are doing all the time. We don't give up. I think the whole team. You know, we are in a really we have a really good spirit in the team, and we want to win. And you know, we'll do everything we can, of course, to try and close that gap to them.
And just finally, was there a point in that race when you realised victory was possible?
Well, I think after that first stint and then the second stint when we pitted together, it was all about, okay, well, now it's going to depend on that last stint who's going to be the fastest. But yeah, with Valtteri, I think everything worked out well. I had him pretty much covered. Of course, then the question mark was going to be, is Lewis going to go to the end or not? So they told me to speed up. Of course, then he boxed. And after that, of course, initially you have a bit of a pace advantage. But then, yeah, I didn't have any tyre drop-off, so I could just do my own pace and it was good enough.
Massive congratulations. Thanks, Max.
Alain Prost, a great race for Max Verstappen today. He really had to drive the wheels, well, not the wheels off, that was last week, but, you know, he had to make that strategy work for him. He really had to push when the time was right.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure that they knew exactly before the race what was going to happen with this strategy. But they must have realized very quickly after maybe 15, 20 laps that was the good one, especially when he was not struggling at all with the tires and he was looking at the Mercedes starting to have some blistered. But that's something you cannot predict. If you remember the Friday in practice, the Ferrari, they had blistered everywhere.
Yeah.
And we said, oh, there's no way they can do one stop. And Charles managed to do one stop. Very difficult to predict what's going to happen. But yeah, the Mercedes on this track, even last week, they had some problem. Maybe they have too much grip, too much downforce. But the tire, they suffer more than on their car than Max cars. Yeah.
Let's take a look at the driver standings then at the end of this 70th anniversary Grand Prix, which has seen Max Verstappen take the win. The Drivers' Championship standings will see him move up to second place in the Drivers' Championship, 30 points behind Lewis Hamilton. Valtteri Bottas down to third, then Charles Leclerc in fourth, Norris fifth, Albon sixth, then Stroll and Perez, Ricciardo and Ocon. Your drivers lining out the top 10 in ninth and 10th. An interesting stat from today, Nico Hülkenberg with 6 points, Sebastian Vettel 10 points down in P13 in the championship for Sebastian Vettel. I think a reflection of how his season is going. 21 drivers classified in the championship, of course, with Nico Hülkenberg standing in for Sergio Perez, and we continue to wish him well with his recovery. Constructors standings, Mercedes, of course, on top with 180 points. Red Bull Racing second on 113, Ferrari 55, McLaren 53, then Racing Point, Renault, AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo, Haas and Williams. Now, Alain, it is, of course, a celebration this weekend, 70 years of Formula One. You yourself played such a pivotal role in this sport, bringing it to where it is. What does it mean to you to see the sport knock down 70 years?
The first thing, you know, when I came here at this track, I mean, like every year, I realized today that if I drive the car myself, I even don't know how to get there. Because 40 years ago when I came, more or less 40 years ago when I came the first time, it was a completely different track. But we are still there, we're still in Formula One, we still manage to have fantastic races and fantastic fans, you know, like especially in these countries. For me, as I said, about 40 years in involvement in Formula One as a driver, team owner, consultant, TV commentator, and now with Renault. So it's quite a long way, but so I've noticed the improvement, the evolvement of this sport. We managed to have only, you know, almost an European sport a long time ago, and it's worldwide, and it's getting bigger and bigger. Very different. You cannot compare anywhere. Cars, drivers. I mean, everything is different. But we are one of the best sports in the world, and 70 years after, I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable.
Amazing stuff. Alain, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been an absolute joy having you as sort of a teammate. I feel like Damon Hill circa 1993. It's been lovely. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Alain Prost, of course, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I know you've got to get back to the team, Alain, so thank you for coming on. Thank you, Alain Prost. Amazing, amazing stuff. Thank you, guys at home, obviously, for tuning in today. We appreciate you guys watching every single week. Thank you to Rosanna and to Sam back at base, to Alex Jakes as well, and as I said, to all of you guys at home for watching. We are, as Formula One and as a sport, one big family of fans from around the world. And sadly, this week we lost somebody who really epitomised what it is to be a fan of this sport. Our show today is dedicated to her enduring memory and really just an absolute life force who will be very sadly missed.